Hey everyone, welcome to Open, the show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world to you. I'm Brittany Skyler, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough. Coming up, we speak with an allergist from Montefiore Health System to learn more about why allergies may seem worse than ever. Then we're joined by two representatives of SBH Health System to learn more about a landmark investment aimed at strengthening nursing excellence, reducing burnout, and improving patient care across New York State. After that, the senior job developer for the workforce development at MMCC talks about how their Flavor of Success program gives their students hands-on experience in the kitchen to help get them career ready. And finally, we speak with two artists to learn more about the Nosotros Somos Así exhibition. So stay tuned, all this and much more is headed your way because we're now officially open. Hey everyone, I'm Brittany Skyler, and today is Tuesday, June 3rd. You're now watching Open, a program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to you. Don't forget to stay connected with us via social media at BronxNet TV. If you've been sneezing, sniffling, or rubbing your itchy eyes more than usual this spring, including myself, this makeup does wonders. You're not alone. Experts say this year's allergy season is among the worst on record. Warmer temperatures and higher carbon dioxide levels are extending pollen seasons and increasing pollen production, making symptoms more severe. Here to explain more is Dr. Jane Liao, an allergist with Montefiore Health System. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Brittany. Thanks so much for having me.
So let's get into this matter of allergy season. Like I mentioned, so many people, including myself, are complaining that it is worse than ever. I mean, in some seasons, you're able to take medication ahead of time, or you're maybe able to take medication once the symptoms arrive. But now this season, it's just been worse than ever. So can you tell me what exactly is making this particular year so intense?
Yeah, again, thanks for having me. I'm happy to talk about something I'm so passionate about. Every year we hear patients say that, this year is the worst ever, and really there's multiple factors, and the most well known include weather-related, climate-driven changes like more pollen being produced, warmer weather, longer duration of allergy seasons, and higher allergenicity of those pollens, and air pollution as well. But there's been so many research being done in this area, and there's a lot more to come. So this is just one part of the reason.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only is this year so intense, but it started a little earlier as well. So can you tell me what particular factors contribute to this early start of the season, and what are some ways that people can get ahead of it?
Absolutely. Great question. So, we know that allergies can affect a lot of people. And according to the CDC, we know that up to 30% of our general population experience allergic conjunctivitis, which is eye allergies, and even more are affected by allergic rhinitis or hay fever. And as we mentioned before, climate is a big reason. And climate change may cause shifts in precipitation, warmer air temperatures. The warming weather is causing allergy seasons to start earlier and last longer. And we know that these days the seasons are up to 30 days longer than they were 10 years ago in certain places, which is just crazy to think about. We typically say that spring is tree season, summer is grass season, and fall is weed allergy season. But with the change in climates, the seasons are all blending together and stretching out. So it's not as clear cut anymore. So tree season may drag out longer than March to May, and spring can occur a little bit earlier if the weather gets warmer, resulting in the earlier onset that we all feel. And so, if residents know that a particular season bothers them most in past years, it's best to see an allergist way before that season gets here so they can get testing done in advance. so they can prepare.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And now I want to jump into the idea that there have been so many articles highlighting the warmer temperatures and increased CO2 levels, extending the growth of the season and intensifying pollen production. So, how have you observed these changes affecting allergy patterns in the Bronx and surrounding areas?
Yeah, I have definitely seen this impact our local population here in the Bronx. We know that climate change can cause fewer frost days and increased carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere. And increased CO2 can increase plant and flower growth and directly induce them actually to produce even more pollen. And the pollens that are produced are more allergenic as well. So the combination of all of this is becoming more troublesome for our regular allergy patients, but then also people with respiratory conditions like asthma, because the nose and the lungs are a single unified airway, so everything can be affected.
Yeah, I mean, like like I mentioned earlier when I was introducing this segment, for myself specifically, it has been so bad. And I know a lot of people, they're like, I'm waking up and they feel like they have dust in their face and dust in their chest.
Yeah.
Now, tell me, and from your perspective, how does the urban setting of the Bronx, pollution and urbanization contribute to more potent reactions?
Absolutely. There's actually a lot of studies done in this in the past. We know that air pollution from things like ozone, sulfur, nitrogen compounds, they can all cause breathing problems. And when
Mhm.
people have allergies, their symptoms become even worse. And the pollution can make the pollen more potent. Smoke from wildfires, as we've seen in LA, can affect the respiratory lining and affect asthma and allergies. And in urban cities, changes to landscape can also create a more favorable growing habitat for certain plants. And inner cities, we know, are warmer in general than suburban and rural areas, and they experience more pollutants and CO2, worsening the effect of the allergies. And like I said, over the years, there have been many studies on how aeroallergens affect patients with respiratory diseases in inner cities like the Bronx.
Mhm.
And actually, in 2009, there was a big multi-state studies, including Montefiore, who have looked into over 1,700 kids aged 5 to 11 with asthma, and they found that Bronx children were significantly more likely to be sensitized to those reported aeroallergens in the homes than kids from other inner city areas. And more Bronx parents reported household presence of cockroaches and mice and rats. And these parents also had a higher level of psychosocial stress. So, all of these findings suggest reasons for poor asthma control in these kids and identified areas for intervention. And recognizing these areas, we as a community have done better since then, but we can still do more.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you just mentioned Montefiore looking into specifically children in the Bronx and other patients. And so, approximately 80 million Americans suffer from hay fever. So, tell me, this season, are you seeing an increase in patients looking for treatments, or is it the same amount?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially it starts with the spring season, right?
Mhm.
During these allergy seasons, I've seen more same day appointments, more people needing environmental allergy testing, and even more established patients who become uncontrolled on their first line therapy regimens. And they actually need to go to immunotherapy or allergy shots. So, for sure, we've definitely seen that.
Mhm. And so many adults are developing allergies later in life, which I know so many are, kind of confused. It's like maybe if I was born with it, and then if you didn't have it in adolescence, then you expect to not have it as an adult. But now we're seeing this happen. So tell me, what factors do you believe contribute to this trend, and how can individuals manage their new or worsening symptoms?
Yeah, also a great question. So I think this is probably due to a combination of ongoing environmental exposures, changes in lifestyle, and evolving immune responses. New onset sensitizations to allergies we know can occur in adulthood, and this process, again, is influenced by the changing exposures to allergens, air pollution, urbanization, which can all modify your immune tolerance tolerance and promote sensitizations even after childhood. We also know that Western lifestyles and modernization, for example, increased time indoors, reduced microbial exposures, are associated with higher prevalence of allergic diseases in adults in general. And climate changes, as we've mentioned before, have extended the pollen seasons and increased the allergenic potential of the pollens, all further, increasing the risk of new allergy onset in adults.
Thank you for sharing that. And so I want to kind of go back to what we mentioned at the top of the conversation is that allergy season is starting a little earlier than normal. But in that, many professionals recommend that you start taking your medication about 2 weeks before the season, which is something I'm very guilty of not doing. No matter how many times they suggest it, it's always one of those. And I'm like, I will wait until I feel the first symptom. So can you please elaborate on the importance of early intervention and how that's going to help you through the allergy season?
Absolutely. Allergy seasons can have a huge impact on quality of life. And most people say, it disrupts sleep, which can contribute to fatigue and stress. And this is especially for kids, right? Which are really frustrating for the parents who, because the kids have to miss school because of the severity of their symptoms. And one thing I always tell my patients is to understand the timing, like you suggested, of when to take their allergy medications, because some oral allergy pills will work right away, but intranasal steroid sprays, which are more effective than the pills, tend to take at least 1 to 2 weeks to reach their maximum potential. So starting the nasal sprays a few weeks before the allergy season will help prepare them. But if their allergy or current allergy regimen is not working, then the best thing to do is to see their PCP or allergist, right away to make modifications to their medications.
Absolutely. I'm most likely going to take the advice now. I haven't taken it for years, but after speaking with you, I most likely will. So tell me, are there any local resources or strategies that people can use to combat their symptoms?
Yeah, I always recommend my patients to check the pollen levels before they go outside, to try to avoid times where the pollens are at their peak. Routine spring cleaning, air purifiers, changing clothes before coming indoors, taking a shower after significant time outdoors can reduce continued exposure to the pollens. And if people know that they're allergic to their pets, they can consider giving their pets a bath after spending significant time outdoors during those high pollen days.
And are there any treatments or things that you can do to alleviate symptoms at the moment right away?
Yeah, I would say if you are currently working with an allergist, they know you the best and will be able to give you the most personalized advice. So definitely talk to your friendly neighborhood allergist. If you currently don't have an allergist, you could consider looking into over the counter options like the allergy eye drops, nasal sprays, and the allergy pills. However, I would also recommend to see a primary care physician right away so they can get evaluated while waiting to see an allergist to get tested, so they know exactly what their triggers are.
Dr. Liao, thank you so much for sitting down with us today. Like I mentioned, this allergy season has been so bad. So thank you just so much for informing us and just giving us different ways that we can combat these really annoying symptoms.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thanks for having me again.
So to keep up with Montefiore Health System, please visit the website on the screen below. Don't go away. We'll be back with more Open right after this.
We're going to start the show right now. This is my favorite part. Ready in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hey, this is Angel, and I am one of the instructors for the in-studio production. Here at BronxNet, we offer classes that can help you elevate, expand, and start your television career. All you have to do is sign up at bronxnet.org/education. For the past 7 years, I have been in various productions, spanning from talk shows, independent films, news reports, art displays, teachings, musical performances, and many more. Ain't that right, Angel? Yeah, you're absolutely right, Angel. There are a lot of creative individuals that we're just waiting to sign up for the class. And if I may, can I also express thank you, Angel. That's all the time we have left. Visit bronxnet.org/education and become a producer, by taking the course. The class I offer is also in English, en español y también bilingüe. Nos vemos en la próxima clase.
Welcome back. St. Barnabas Hospital Health System has been selected as one of the 13 recipients of the newly launched Mother Cabrini Health Foundation's $51 million nursing initiative, a landmark investment aimed at strengthening nursing excellence, reducing burnout, and improving patient care across New York State. Here to tell us more is the Senior Vice President of Chief Nursing Officers for SBH Health System, Robert Church, and the Director of Nursing Education and Professional Practice for SBH Health System, Dr. Nichola Watkins. Thank you both so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us. This is great.
I'm so excited to talk about this initiative and this grant. It is something that I think is so important. I have so many friends and family members who are nurses, so yes. I'm so excited to talk about this topic. So just to start off, can you tell us about this $5 million award and what this is going to mean for your hospital and your nursing staff?
Sure. So, a lot of gratitude to Mother Cabrini Health Foundation. They did a study and they looked at safety net hospitals, which are hospitals that serve a very, underserved and poor communities. And they wanted to see, was the standard of nursing care the same there as it was in other hospitals? And they found out that it really wasn't. Mm-hmm. So they presented this grant opportunity to allow us to go for Pathways to Excellence, which is really going to help improve the quality, the safety for patients in the community that come to St. Barnabas, but also improve the working conditions and the well-being of the nurses who work there.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Of course. So now tell me, for viewers who may not be familiar with the ANCC Pathway to Excellence designation, why is it so significant for a hospital like SBH?
This is a very significant award. The American Nurses Credentialing Center is a credentialing body for nursing within the U.S., and they have programs such as Pathway to Excellence and Magnet, and our facility decided to go for Pathway to Excellence. So this designation for Pathway to Excellence does enable a facility to continue on a journey of nursing excellence. This allows and indicate that the hospital has a positive work environment for our nursing staff, which does exemplify the care that's being provided to the patients.
Mm-hmm. And so, we're hearing more about burnout in healthcare, especially post-pandemic. Mm-hmm. So tell us, how does a structured residency and mentorship model help reduce burnout and retain new nurses?
So not only does the grant allow us to go for Pathways to Excellence, mm-hmm. but it also allows us to expand what's called our nurse residency program. Mm-hmm. So nurse residency program is different than orientation, right? A lot of hospitals just have a hospital orientation that you go through, you learn your policies and procedures, and you're out on the floor. A nurse residency program gives you an extra year of mentorship, and it also gives you exposure on how to do like an evidence-based project and research for something that's specific to the unit that they're working on. So prior to this, we only had a nurse residency program for our emergency room nurses and our critical care nurses. Thanks to this grant, we can now expand that to all areas of the hospital, including maternity, psychiatry, med-surg, surgical services. It'll be housewide.
Can you tell me from your perspective, how has that benefit the nurses, maybe specific feedback that you've learned?
Yeah, well, like you said, especially during, COVID, a lot of the people coming out of schools didn't get the same clinical time they did in the past. So this residency program gives them the extra support and, education and mentorship to help them, kind of get established. So, if a nurse can make it through the first year, their retention is, more likely to continue at the hospital. Not, they're not going to get frustrated and leave and go somewhere else.
So essentially, you would say like the first year is the hardest.
The hardest part, absolutely.
Yeah. And so, in that, this grant also helps to address the nursing shortage and help its workforce and address generational turnover. So can you speak to how SBH specifically plans to grow and support its nursing workforce over the next 5 years?
Yep. So even prior to this, we were one of the few hospitals that would hire new graduate nurses right out of school. So we're continuing to do that. This grant, obviously going on the journey for Pathways to Excellence, is going to really improve the environment that they're going to work in. The residency is going to help. We work in collaboration with 1199, which is the union at our hospital. And together we fund something called the training fund, which gives nurses access to education specific to the specialty that they're working in.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so tell me, how will the patients at SBH feel the impact of this investment? A lot of times they hear that the staffing ratios aren't the best or things that are causing, patient impact. So just tell me a little bit about how they'll notice this care in their experience.
Sure.
Well, when it comes to a Pathway to Excellence facility, in order to start the journey, a facility has to have shared governance. And that allows our nursing staff to have shared decision making, basically like having a seat at the table, and that influence the care that's being provided. So they have a say in the care. So this will also impact our patients because the nurses will have involvement in meetings, will have involvement in the care that's being provided to them. And it overall does improve patient care.
Absolutely. And now tell me, you mentioned earlier that SBH is a safety net hospital. So can you mention a little bit about why it's so important to have programs and resources like this for a hospital like SBH?
Sure. So, being a safety net hospital, like our payer mix is very heavy on Medicaid and Medicare. So we don't get the same reimbursement that, more suburban hospitals would get. So we were never able financially to set up a model like shared governance, which is what this Pathways to Excellence takes us to. So by getting this grant in over 5 years, it's going to allow us to create this culture. And if there's anything you take away from the whole Pathways to Excellence, the whole premise is that it's going to improve the quality, it's going to improve the safety, and more importantly, it's going to improve the nurses' work environment. So like Nichola was saying, staff now get a say, right, in how things are getting done. And that's the part that was always missing. Our staff always stayed at the bedside. We never had the opportunity to have them involved in councils and committee meetings. So by them being involved, the idea is that they're going to enjoy their workplace, they're going to have a better work environment, and then that transfers to the patient. So if you have a happy nurse, you're going to have a happy patient.
Amazing. And so I'd love to hear from both of you on this. This is a 5-year investment. So at the end of these 5 years, where do you hope to see the nursing staff at SBH?
So it is. It's not overnight. It's going to take 5 years to get to where we need to be. So first thing we have to do is start to educate the staff about what is shared governance, what is shared decision making. Then we set up these councils. So there'll be like a nursing practice council, there'll be a nursing policy council, there'll be a nurse research council, there'll be a lot of different councils that the staff are eventually running those councils. So when a problem arises, right now pretty much we say, here's a new policy, right? Learn it and follow it. Now the staff get to be involved. They get to look at, what actually happened, right? So if there was an incident, what was the incident? They get to decide what's the best nursing practice to improve and prevent that from happening again. So that just deep involvement will help them understand it and buy into it much more. At the end of the 5 years, we hope to have this culture in place. The actual accreditation from ACN for Pathways to Excellence, that's just validating all the work that we've put into it. And that's our goal, is to get that. But it's validating that we've created this culture and a work environment for the nurses to thrive in.
That's amazing to hear. Dr. Watkins, what about you?
I had the opportunity to go through the Pathway to Excellence journey with another organization and to see the impact that those 6 standards have on the nurses: shared decision making, leadership, safety, quality, well-being, and their professional development. To see how that has impacted nurses, and they're having that involvement and being a part of the process to improve patient care within the facility was absolutely amazing. It does improve their recruitment and retention, and they're wanting to stay, they're wanting to be more involved. So to see that transformation is absolutely beautiful. And to see that journey that we're going on with SBH Health is going to be wonderful for the nursing staff, for leadership, and overall our patients.
I love that you mentioned that, because I was just going to ask you on how achieving this pathway to excellence will improve the culture of SBH and its nurses specifically.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit on what are some things that for lack of a better word, that would ruin the culture in this particular field?
I guess to ruin it is if there's no buy-in to wanting to do this. But we're just making the nurses understand this is for you. This is for them, their development, meeting those 6 pathway standards. And this is overall the improvement of the care we do provide to our patients. So this is that development for them personally, and it's something that any nurse will want to be a part of.
Yeah, actually, studies have shown that hospitals that achieve pathways to excellence, the nurses feel they're valued, they feel they're inspired, and they feel they're empowered. And that's exactly the culture we're trying to create.
Exactly.
I was just going to say, again, I'd love to hear from both of you. What excites you most about this new grant and this new program?
I think the thing is that this, we now have an opportunity to get the staff involved, right? And it's something we've always wanted to do. But now the staff, they get to decide what the professional nursing practice model is going to look like. So that's exciting.
It's like I said, I've seen the process of this and the resulting and the journey of it, putting those standards in place and improving what's already in place. It's definitely a welcoming thing. And it does help when new nurses or our nursing students who do come and do clinicals at our facility, they'll see that change, or they'll see these processes in place, and then they're going to say, well, I want to work there. So it does help with our recruitment.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we do have a little bit of time left in the segment. I just want to talk maybe on how the culture has shifted since the pandemic that you mentioned earlier at the top of the interview, and how, in nursing as a whole, you kind of want to work to get it maybe back to where it was before COVID.
Yeah, I think the biggest shakeup from that was the number of nurses that left the profession. And for a time being, nurses were not enrolling into nursing school either. That's coming back. So now, you're seeing the school enrollments go up. You're seeing nurses who left coming back. And it's these kinds of environments that are going to help support that.
Absolutely. Yeah, and just lastly, just to wrap up, for anybody who's watching who may want to become a nurse and is thinking about the profession, what's some advice that you have for them?
So that's my favorite question, and I can talk about it all day, because when I became a nurse, 1989, right? Only 3% of all nurses were male back then. But when people ask me why choose nursing, because you can do anything, right? You can work with the very young, newborns, all the way to geriatrics. You can work in primary care. You can work in an emergency room or an ICU. You can work, in an OR, or you can work in IT, right? So one of the growing fields in nursing is IT. So people who are very much into computers, you need the nursing knowledge to apply it to the IT. So now, every hospital has electronic medical records, right? Well, nurses develop those. Nurses create those so that the workflow follows the nursing pathway. So once you go to nursing school, there are endless opportunities. You can see, blood and guts, never see blood at all. I mean, the spectrum is everything.
And for me, being a part of this profession has been an amazing opportunity. I've been a nurse for 20 years now. And from the opportunities that a new grad will see to what they can do, saving a life, going through the pandemic. Thank God we're out of that now, but seeing the other side of it and improving overall patient care and these services that we do provide to patients from a safety net hospital to any level of hospitals. It's an absolute wonderful profession to be a part of.
Absolutely. I want to thank both of you for sitting down with us today. I mean, nursing is just such an amazing, amazing profession. What you guys do every single day is just unexplainable. So thank you so much for sitting down with us today.
Thank you
for having us.
To learn more about the efforts being made by SBH Health System, please visit the website on the screen below. Stay tuned. We have more open right after this.
What's up, creative family? Discover your voice with BronxNet community media classes. Are you ready to bring your ideas to life? At BronxNet, we offer television production classes for community members ages 18 and over, empowering you to share your vision with the world. Get certified in field production, in-studio production, and our new exciting addition, podcast production. Once certified, you can create your own show to air on one of our 6 TV channels. It all starts with our free Unleash Your Ideas Masterclass, designed to help you plan your show idea and set you up for success on your production journey. This class is offered at the beginning of each month for your convenience. Our dedicated BronxNet team is here to support, encourage, and uplift you every step of the way. Join us and become a part of the creative force that engages and inspires the Bronx community and beyond. Sign up today and start your media journey with BronxNet. Visit bronxnet.org/education to learn more and register. Let's create something amazing together.
Welcome back. The Flavors of Success culinary program at the Montefiore Community Center is a free 4-week culinary training program designed to give individuals the skills and experience needed for a career in the food industry. Joining us now is the Senior Job Developer for the Workforce Development at MMCC, Dr. Shaquan Hoke. Thank you so much for joining today.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me today.
Of course, like I said, I'm so excited to get into this. So to kick things off, tell me a little bit about the Flavor of Success program at MMCC and how did it get its start?
Great question. We received funding from the Pippin Foundation, but primarily we service teens that are 18 to 24 in most of our training programs that lead to employment. And Flavors for Success was born through the need of demand. Like our participants would ask for, the training to cook and to be an active participant in their nutrition as well. And we came across this wonderful opportunity to have this program. We have had other culinary programs, but this one here, the 4-week training program, just was our more recent one that we completed in May. So we just completed our second cohort for Flavors for Success. And I'm gonna tell you, the experience is amazing. You should really see and feel the energy as they're participating. And it was just so amazing to be a part of those two cohorts that we completed.
That sounds so fun. I'm 23. I'm about to jump in myself. So tell me, out of the two cohorts, what was the feedback like?
Well, I can tell you just from the start of it, there was so much high excitement, knowing that they were going to learn hands-on how to operate in the kitchen. First, safety first, of course, and the great thing is that they get to learn, not just learn, but earn a credential that once they complete the program, they will have Serve Safe. And that credential they can use to look for employment opportunities to start their career in culinary arts. But they go through the gamut of contextualized learning, learning the different areas they can go into, not just the entry level, but kind of seeing the career path in culinary arts. Also, the importance of being conscious with safety, learning the whole, what's required, of course, for the Department of Health, passing that exam and what that requires. So we tutor them, answer any questions. And the exciting part, which is the fun part, to get to, experiment in the kitchen, kind of chef it up with different flavors and learn how to bake and create foods that they may have never been able to do before. And some of them come in, may have a light knowledge of, how to cook because they may have cooked before for their family, but this is kind of next level learning, what to do and the steps and how to do it. And once you see their marvelous creations and the smiles on their face to say, wow, I created this. And we, as staff, of course, had the privilege of testing, some of their dishes. And I will tell you, they just totally blew me away. So just from soup to nuts of operating that whole program, it's just really an amazing experience. And to see the happiness that, hey, I completed this, I did this, and now I can move to the next step towards my career.
That is so cool. I love the name Flavors of Success. That is such a cool name. So tell me, what kind of hands-on experience do the students get? You mentioned, operating certain equipment and all of that, but can you elaborate on what exactly they're going to do as they get in the kitchen?
Yes. So when they actually are allowed to do the hands-on experience part, they operate in a kitchen that we use at our location with the big oven and all the utensils. We have an actual chef that will teach them, just the basics of in culinary. The first training is, of course, safety and learning how to be sanitary, wiping down everything, making sure everything is organized, a certain way how to hold your knife, in positioning to where you're standing, using certain utensils. So those are like the things that they learn in the kitchen. Because I know when I'm at home, when I was learning to cook, it was kind of like, I would probably scare my mom to death. No, don't hold the knife that way. So, they get to learn the proper way, and then they basically take it from there. We also teach them things according to how to pass the exam in order for them to get that credential through Serve Safe.
Yeah, I love how you said, the way you learned and the way that we learned was a whole lot different. It wasn't in the proper setting, in the proper classroom. I'm over here playing with knives and playing with the stove and all of that. But walk us through a typical day of class, and also, tell us a little bit about what happens in class. And you can be very honest for the cameras in front of you. Is this like the Great British Bake Off, or is this more of a Hell's Kitchen?
That's a very interesting choice to look at. I would say probably a little combination of the two, per se. So they would basically come in, prepare themselves to get in the kitchen. So they would change into their uniforms, of course, wash their hands and that sort of thing. They would first get the classroom learning, because we do teach not just how to pass the exam for their credential, but we do go over the career aspect of it. So me as the senior job developer, I do talk to employers to let them know, listen, we have wonderful participants that are nearing their completion of their training, and they're interested in working. So I pretty much advocate for them to get in front of the employer to eventually be hired. So they have that great anticipation to look forward to. But we do go over resume preparation, how to build it, creating it, editing it. We also do a career assessment, so we can let them see, hey, this is what you're doing now, but let's see how your personality type matches up with your career choices and the types of jobs you can have in culinary arts that would be more suiting for you. We do mock interviewing, and also financial literacy, because, hey, once you get your paycheck, you don't want to just blow it all in one sitting, and then you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get to work? Or, oh, I really should have brought, something for like maybe a pair of shoes, or maybe you need a new apron or something. I don't know. But yes, we teach financial literacy, job preparation, resume building, also kitchen etiquettes, because there's so many different careers in culinary arts. So we try to give them the knowledge that they will be equipped to go out there in the workforce.
I like that. It seems like a very comprehensive program, but also of an open learning environment. We don't have nobody turning somebody into an idiot sandwich here. That's really cool.
Right.
So again, the program does more than just teach cooking. It transforms lives. So how are you helping students turn their passion into a career?
Wonderful question, and that's kind of like my favorite part.
Yeah.
Once they have completed and received their certification, then I have the opportunity to expose them to different levels of careers and interviews, depending on their level of experience that they first came to us with, and also their knowledge base. So I have gotten them interviews with different employers. For example, Shake Shack, I believe it was, there's some local restaurants in the area in the Bronx that we've gotten them interviews with and employment with. Even within MMCC, Nichola Montefiore Community Center, we have alumni that we've hired directly as a result of them completing the Flavors for Success program, because they've shown, such dedication, coming to class on time, being very engaged, being helpful, going above and beyond what was necessary, and we hired them. So we've had quite a few success stories, and I'm actually working on a newsletter right now so that we can highlight the Flavors for Success program.
That's amazing. I always think, it's great to have a program that teaches skill, but a program that's almost like a wraparound service that then helps you for your career and for the real world, I think makes the program all the more worth it. And it really is a great program. So tell me, for the young adults watching at home who dream of becoming chefs, what advice would you give them?
I would say, make sure you love what you do. Because you can say, hey, I want to be a chef, but do you really know what goes on in the kitchen, right? So you definitely want to get some experience, and being a part of Flavors for Success is definitely a great way to learn the inner nuances of what the day-to-day can look like in the kitchen, because you're thinking, oh, it's going to be a nice, lovely environment. Everybody's going to be smiling. Listen, the kitchen, it is hot. First of all, and it could be high intense. It could be stressful. It could be orders coming in left and right, or maybe you could be out of an ingredient, or something could have gone wrong, or a appliance may malfunction, and you have to think and pivot and be able to adjust, all working with a smile and still exhibiting excellent customer service.
I love that. I really do, because it is true. Every job, there's like this glamorous look on the outside, but when you really get into it, you're like, oh, did I really want to do this? So I think it's a great program, and I think it's really great that you guys give them that real world knowledge and those resources and those tools to really make sure that this is something that they want to do. So thank you again so much for sitting down with us and telling us about this program.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And just a little FYI, we will be starting up our next cohort sometime in September. So we're recruiting now. So if anyone's interested, then make sure you contact us at the information that you'll see provided on the screen for our programs. And we look forward, to meeting you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So again, to learn more, please visit the website on your screen below. We have to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Open after this.
19.7% of Bronxites currently experience food insecurity. Meanwhile, instead of these nice, colorful foods, this is the best food that they have access to. If this sounds like you, there are a bunch of resources to get healthy food for free or cheap. If you want to help, you might consider donating or volunteering in one of these places. Community fridges like this one are all over the city, and allow New Yorkers to conveniently donate extra food to people who might need it. Go to this link and find your nearest one. Food banks and pop-up events like these provide millions of healthy meals to families in need. These organizations are distributing meals to Bronxites as we speak, and are always accepting donations and volunteers.
Welcome back. The talented Nuyorican artists from Saviana Arts have an upcoming exhibit that will be on display until June 28th, with opening night starting on Wednesday, June 4th. You will get to experience a powerful body of work that captures the layered beauty of Puerto Rico, interwoven with the urban lifestyle of New York City. Please join me in welcoming artists Sara Morales and Vivian Lipman-Denis. Thank you both so much for joining us today.
Thank you. We're excited.
I'm excited to speak with you both. So to start off the interview, just, tell us what brought the two of you together as a creative duo.
Do you want me? I'll talk? Okay. We've been together we've known each other about 15 years. And 15 years ago, we joined a book club of other women, Latinas, and the women were young women. And after we would discuss the book, they start talking about their issues, and they were in their 20s and 30s. So this was an age where they were questioning a lot of their choices. So Sara and I, being of the same generation, we understood what they had gone through. So we would look at each other and say, yeah, we've been there, done that. And so we felt a connection. After the book club meeting, we got together and we started to hang out and we started going to museums, to plays. And one day, Sara went to me and said, I can't make it today because, and I go, why? She goes, because I have an art class. And I went like, what? You're an artist? And she goes, yeah, I am too. And that's when we found out that we both love to paint. And at that point, we decided to meet once a week to paint together.
That is so cool. I mean, you met doing with one interest, and now you're over here with a whole nother, and now you just have a whole, a whole exhibition out of it, a whole body of work out of it. That's
Exactly.
So cool. So tell me, you both work under the name of Saviana Arts. Tell me, what does the name represent, and how do you describe your collaboration?
Saviana Arts is a combination of my first name and Vivian's first name, and then we added an A to it to make it sound Latino. So that's where the name came from. And we collaborate well because Vivian is like very analytical and I'm very spontaneous. So those two dynamics kind of mixed together work well because she could kind of rein me in when I get myself in trouble.
But we work really well as a
It works
collective.
well.
Yes.
But I was going to say that's like one of the best dynamics, though, is that you both have things that you pull out of one another, and you both have your own strengths. And I think that's always the best part to it. You don't want two people who are the exact same, you know?
Exactly.
Then where's the wiggle room to try anything new?
Right,
So,
and we also have different painting styles.
Yeah.
So we're there to critique each other and to give each other strength and to, you know, just help each other out when we come to areas where we're having some difficulty. So it does work out well, yes.
And being an artist nowadays is really hard. So having someone else to support each other, especially when it comes to marketing and financial, and we don't even know how an artist who works by themselves does it. I mean, it's a lot of work.
Absolutely. You know, you mentioned two different painting styles. We actually have some of yours here. I know they want to put them up on the screen. And so when they do, just tell us a little bit about the particular paintings.
Okay. Oh, this is my self-portrait.
Nice.
And I love Vermeer. Vermeer is one of my favorite artists. I mean, I have many, but he definitely was one of my favorite. And I had gone to the museum and posed in front of it. And when I saw it, I decided that I wanted to paint. That's the painting I wanted to do a self-portrait from.
Next one.
Okay, this is Boquerón in Puerto Rico. And this came out of a photograph that when I took it, it just felt so tranquil that I said, I really have to put this on canvas. And I get that response from everybody that sees it.
Okay, and now we have this one. Tell me about this one.
Okay, so this is my Aunt Rosaura. We are storytellers. We're not just painters, but we're also storytellers. And I found that that we were losing a lot of our stories. And like, for instance, my son is a very proud Boricua, but he didn't know a lot of the stories that I was able to hear through my mother. My mother was always telling me stories. So through my paintings, I'm able to share a lot of those stories. And this is her in the 70s, proud Puerto Rican, and
it's beautiful. And here's our last one. Tell me about it.
Okay, this is El Frutero. This is a gentleman that we saw in Old San Juan, and he's selling fruit out of a wheelchair. Okay, and I thought that was really interesting. And it always brings back the fact that most Puerto Ricans are very creative when it comes to problem solving. All right, so here's this man, he found this old wheelchair and he found a way to sell his fruit, and it worked out very well for him. So I thought it was really quaint.
Those are all beautiful paintings. Now, tell me, your work feels so deeply personal, of course, rooted in Puerto Rican culture, but also universally relevant. So tell me, as artists, what is your mission when you're painting, and what do you want people to take from your work?
When people hear about Puerto Ricans, the first thing that comes to their mind is their social issues, economic issues. And it's not like when you hear Chinese or Italian, that when you hear those words, you think about art and you think about food and you think about music. We want to change that narrative. We want, when people hear Puerto Rican, that they see danzas and pasteles and pavas, and they know who we are.
That's amazing. What about?
Well, one of the things that I always think is that the image of people have of us, which is that famous painting by Ferrer, which is the Jibarito, and we wanted to change that and show that we are different. We come from many different walks of life. That we are musicians, we are scientists, we are athletes, we are educators. So through our paintings, we tell a story about who we are, and therefore that gave the idea of our next exhibition.
What a beautiful message. Speaking of the exhibition, it's opening soon. Tell us a little bit about it. Tell us what can people expect?
Okay, it's called Nosotros Somos Así, and it's almost like this is us, and it's mostly portraiture, because we want to show the people. We want to show them in all walks of life.
All walks, yes.
We want to show what Puerto Rican life is like, whether you're in New York City or whether you're in the island. And one of the things that Vivian and I like to bring forward is the fact that there are Puerto Ricans and there are New Yorkers, but there's also New Yorkers. And that's a very different group of people, okay? Much like other people that come to America, we all assimilate and we become something else. Okay, so we are New Yorkers, and that's what we celebrate the most.
I love that.
Oh,
You want to share about the exhibit? Yeah.
basically that each painting is very personal to us. It has a story. We hope that when people come to see the exhibition, they ask us about the paintings so that we can share the different stories on each painting. And I think we like to relate. We like the people to come and say, oh my gosh, that reminds me of my aunt. That reminds me of my uncle or my cousin. Oh, I know where that is. I know where I've been there. So we want memories to be invoked.
Well, I do have to say, sitting down with you both, I feel like I'm sitting here with my aunts, and it really is a great, morning for that. I love that.
I hope you come.
Absolutely, I'd love to come. And so, speaking of, tell us, where is it? What are the hours? And for those who maybe can't attend in person, is there an online version? What does that look like?
Okay, the exhibit takes place in Art Space, and that's 215 East 99th Street between 2nd and 3rd
Avenue. And the opening night is June 4th, which is tomorrow. June 4th, which is tomorrow. And it's between 6 and 8, and we hope you come and join us. But Art Space is an amazing space for artists, and they have also many other events. So we're hoping that as well as coming to our exhibit, you come back to Art Space and see our exhibit and also enjoy some of the events at Art Space.
Absolutely. And so, Sara, tell me, when people walk away from this exhibition, what are you hoping, sticks with them? What do you hope that they experience?
I hope that it stirs emotions.
Yeah.
I hope that people connect with it personally. And I hope that we can educate people who are not Puerto Rican with respect to who we are.
Yeah. What
The
about
same,
you?
the same, exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
she took the words right out of my mouth. It's really, when we do events and we bring our artwork, it gets us so excited when people say to us, oh my God. For instance, there was one particular event that we did upstate in Albany, where a young lady started looking at our work and she started to cry. And we both were like, what? And it was because it reminded her of her grandmother and the exact same situation. And that made
It touched us.
It touched us a lot. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I will say one thing about Puerto Ricans is those family ties are so strong. Even if you don't, all live in Puerto Rico together, or New Yorkers, and you don't all live in New York. My family is very spread out all over the place.
Yes.
So those family bonds are very, very important.
strong,
And
It is.
I am so excited. I definitely want to come to opening night. And congratulations on this exhibition. And thank you so much for sitting down with us today.
Thank you. We're excited.
Thank you. Congratulations.
And we hope you come, yeah.
Absolutely. So if you would like to learn more about these artists, please visit the website on the screen below. We've come to the end of our show today. I'd like to thank all of our guests for joining us and you, the viewers, for tuning in. If you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the Recable cast at 5 and 8 p.m. tonight on Optimum Channel 67 and Verizon Fios 33, or watch anytime on the web at BronxNet.org. You can catch a new episode of Open with Darren Jaime on Wednesday and Rena Valentin on Friday. I'm Brittany Skyler. Stay curious, stay kind, and I'll see you next time.